Hello, Dad University Live. Today is, what is today? I feel like I don't know what day it is from day to day. It's Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. And I'm just doing that timestamp so that when I play it back, I actually know when this was. So welcome to everybody. I'm Jason Kreidman, the host. If you are new here, we answer questions. You post questions into the chat. If you're joining us on, I think today we've got Facebook and YouTube going. A couple technical changes and difficulties. We're testing some things. But if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Also love to know where you are joining us from. So if you are inclined, just write in the chat where you're joining us from, and I'd love to hear that. And then also, if you want to support the show and the channel and us and what we're doing, daduniversity.com/support, and you can become a member. We've had some great new members signing up as a result of the show, which is awesome. And or you can do a one-time donation. That's also too. Now, if you sign up as a member, you get access to all of the courses that we have, all of the videos, live discussions, chat discussions. And then you also pay what feels good. So you get to choose how much you want to pay. It's, you can pay as little as $3. If you want to pay more, it helps us do more things. That's wonderful. We appreciate that. So I saw a couple questions are already in the chat. I'll see if I can answer these. Rudy, can we talk about how you stated that dads should be okay with the possibility of coming after the family pet? I'm guessing somewhat sarcastic, as I was. Yes, I think that that's sometimes how we feel as fathers. That, to our children, sometimes we feel like they favor mom. In other instances where our partner or the mother we will be last in line for consideration, attention, and whatever else. And when you have a baby, sometimes it feels like that. And so I don't know that we have to be okay with it, but you certainly, I think people feel that way, or at least I did at some point. And so you just learn to understand the dynamics of what's happening. The idea that there is a new child. If you have a family pet, sometimes that pet does get, more attention and more. I know with our dog, we all pay a lot of attention to our dog. So our dog gets a lot of love. And then I think we have another one here. Jameco Ellis says just adopting. I think it's just a general term. Maybe you can expand on that, Jameco. But I think that's wonderful. I mean, there are a lot of children that I don't personally have a lot of knowledge or experience or with it, but it seems wonderful. The idea that you can match a family with a child that needs a family. I mean, it sounds like an amazing thing. So if you are considering that and able to do that, I think that's wonderful. There's a lot of children who need homes, and need homes in which, the people who are adopting want them to be there, where you are choosing that child and wanting them to be there. Whereas in many situations, in fact, I just had a comment somebody had posted on YouTube about, it was unwanted pregnancy, and you can't believe that the child, that they're now pregnant and they don't want this child and such. And so, that as the child, that can't necessarily be a wonderful feeling if you were to know that. But yeah, so I think it's great. I think it's if you choose to do something like that, I think that's wonderful. So post some questions if you guys have any questions, post them in the chat. Love to answer them. I think we may have a question or two. Luke, do we have got a question from I think one of our other socials that we didn't have? You can also tell it to me and I can replay it if we're not able to get it on the screen. that's okay if we can't. We're trying some different software. Like I said, we were experimenting with a couple different things. I don't know if we can. If you can't resize it, huh? I know I can't. Oh, there we go. There's a delay. I suffer from GAD. I think that's anxiety disorder, general anxiety disorder, and I really want to be in the right mind for her during this. I'm assuming your partner. Do you have any tips to cope with this while the labor is going on? Now, yeah. So I think in general, if you have serious anxieties or depression and things like that, obviously talking to a therapist or a counselor, psychologist, a professional in that area is a good idea, and especially as a child is on the way. I think in general, some general tips about anxieties and things that I have learned myself, suffering with some various anxieties and such, is, knowledge is power. Sometimes, knowledge can be worse, but I think so too much knowledge, meaning like you're constantly looking for all this information, everything else. I think in general, when coping with the labor, helping your partner, doing those things, a lot of the anxiety, there's a couple things I'll say. So the anxiety can be reduced by learning about that process. So learning about labor, maybe going to a labor class or a Lamaze class or something, learning about the process of pregnancy and and then also talking with your partner about things that she may need or want during that time and how you can help. And so the one thing I will say too is that I don't know anybody who doesn't have some bit of anxiety or nervousness, etc., when they are pregnant and going to have a baby or the day of the baby. Now, what I will say is that anxiety and excitement have sort of the same chemical and physical manifestations in your body. Your heart rate increases, you may sweat, you feel, sometimes people shake, you can get a dry mouth. And so you could actually, if you can reframe that a little bit as excitement, and I've heard this from people who perform, like on stage or musicians or theater or whatever, where they kind of learn that process where, they still have anxieties, they still have nerves, they still have these things, but they kind of turn it into an excitement and knowing what is ahead. And so maybe you could use that type of technique where you are looking at this as this is exciting about a child. It's a new thing. Know that everybody experiences this. You are not alone. The fact that you feel this way is totally normal. And so there's nothing wrong with you. This is a big step in life, and kind of give yourself permission to feel that way. It's, hey, even talk to yourself about it. I do this all the time where it's like, okay, this is a big situation. I'm feeling a little nervous right now. I have some anxieties. Wow, my palms are sweating, my heart's racing. Like, it's okay to acknowledge all those things. And, instead of getting, mad at yourself or feeling like you're somehow weak or whatever the things you do to yourself, it's totally normal. So I think that hopefully those are some techniques that can help. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Let me go on. There's another question here. You can remove that one. Corey Hentz, young dad, 30s with 2 young kids and married. Is this supposed to be a season of darkness for the modern man? Is it supposed to be? That's an interesting way of phrasing it. I don't think that it is supposed to be a season of darkness. I think that it often is, and it can be, having a spouse, having 2 small kids, being in your 30s, if you are if you work or you're a professional and you work a lot, then managing all of these things at the same time. Plus, you have, like say, extended family. Maybe you have your parents, you then have your friends, I talk about this in sort of in the balancing work and family course inside Dad University, where we have so many different aspects of our lives, and managing all of them is not easy. And so I think what happens, and we say like a season of darkness, so there is something about these that doesn't feel good for you, and I think it's important to analyze that and to look at that and figure out what is it that makes it darkness for you. And that varies for different people. Some can be, I just don't feel like I'm making enough money. Oh, I don't feel like I'm spending enough time with my kids. Oh, I don't feel like I get to do some things that I want to do. I mean, there's all kinds of things. I recall for myself, literally writing those things out. I went and sought professional assistance and help and therapists. And at that time, because I struggled when my kids were born, or my kids were like in the sort of toddler stage. And that's why I started Dad University. I started taking parenting classes. I went to a therapist. I was already meditating, but I started meditating more, made sure my workouts, my sleep, my diet, like attacking it from all angles. And so I don't think it has to be a season of darkness. I think we allow it to. It's something that can be, I think, so Corey, you'd ask, send me a link to your specific course. I think we can either send it on here. You can go to daduniversity.com, click on courses, and then you'll see the work-life harmony course, and you can click on that course. It'll explain some of the things. But the biggest thing too, I'll give you some of the information that's in that course, is that we have all these different aspects of our lives, and we feel like we need to be perfect at all of them. And the truth is, you can't be perfect at all of them at all the same time. And what happens is, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but I know I've done this, where you look at somebody else's life, and this is the problem, whether it's with social media or your friends or something. You look at an aspect of somebody's life, you don't see it all. You don't see the entire picture. People who are, let's say, financially successful, and if they got there through extremely hard work and, dedication and stuff, they sacrificed certain things in order to get there. They probably sacrificed hanging out with their friends. They probably sacrificed family time. They probably sacrificed, other aspects of their life in order to achieve that. Now, someone who has a great family life or something, they may have to have sacrificed something else. There is no such thing as like having everything perfect. And I think that's one of the lessons that, work-life harmony kind of teaches, is like you begin, especially as you get older, you begin to prioritize differently. Like for me, career, money, success, whatever you want to call that, was such a priority when I was younger. It's still important, no question, but there are things now that I will not sacrifice that I used to sacrifice before. I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday, it was Monday, yeah. Because we had gone on a vacation or mini vacation over the weekend, and my son, who's 14, wanted to go to the gym yesterday, which is Monday. I wanted to go to the gym with him. I want to spend time with him. And instead of going, and so in the afternoon, because we came back late morning, I could have worked. I did get a little bit of stuff done, but instead, which I needed to get some work done, but instead, I really wanted to spend that time with him. So I went to the gym with him and just figured, I'll do my stuff later. And, that's a priority for me because as a 14-year-old, if you'll realize if you don't have that, you don't get a chance to spend much time with them as their friends become more important and their social life. And so that was an important thing for me. And so as a result, some work didn't get done, or I didn't do some other chore that, so you begin to make these sacrifices that, those are the choices that you have to make. And I think that's the one thing I was taught too, that my mother always said this, that nobody on their deathbed ever said, I should have spent more time at the office. What they've said is, I should have told the people that I loved. I should have spent more time with the people that I loved. I should have done the things that I enjoyed, etc. So I enjoy work. I'm an entrepreneur, all of that. But there are things that I now will sacrifice career-wise or money-wise or something for other things. And it's just a choice, and it's this balance that you have to make. I still work very hard. I ended up working late last night as a result of it, but I am able to do that and change my schedule. So, all right. Corey has a follow-up. My wife works, I work. What am I supposed to do with a 2-year-old when we are trapped inside in the winter months? I just feel like it's a season until the kids get older when you can do more things. Here's what I will say. I think I felt like that as well. And I don't know where you are as far as winter months. I'm in San Diego, so we don't have extreme weather. But I do know that there are people that simply just strap the baby or strap the kid to their back and they just go. And the kids literally get used to those kinds of things. Like, whether it was going to the beach, it's going on a hike, it's going into the, it's skiing, it's in the snow, it's in the surf, it's in the whatever, and they bring their kids along with them. And, not everybody's okay with that. But I remember being a little jealous of that. And I looked at my wife and I was like, why are we not doing this? There were some activities that we had done and we didn't have our kids with them. And granted, sometimes that's fun too. You have adult activity where you don't have kids, you can go on a hike, or you can, go in the water, or you can do whatever. But I recall just seeing, I remember a guy on a hike with a backpack and his kids in it, and he's doing his hiking thing and his kid gets to experience it with him. So I think that's our choice of what it is that we want our kids to experience and not experience. Granted, you have to be prepared for the, as they get, 2's not as bad, but like 4 or 5, they might whine a little bit. They might not enjoy it. But if you've done that for a while, they get used to it. And I think they do end up enjoying it. So guys, if you want to support the channel, we appreciate everybody here. daduniversity.com/support. And you can become a member. That's always wonderful. If also too, you can do a one-time donation. That helps. Also too, what else was I going to say? I don't know. Oh, if you have a question, post it in the chat. My brain is a little bit fried today. Probably because I was on vacation during the weekend. And so, but it was nice to have some time off. It's just hard to get back. So Corey, you're in Richmond, Virginia, which, yes, that weather is probably a little different than San Diego for sure. Do we have another question, Luke?
One more.
Yep, we got one more. I'll take a sip while I'm waiting for the question. Check out this Dad University mug I got. I made this. This is not necessarily for sale yet, but if people decide they want to buy those, I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know how it shows up on the screen. In fact, it'd be great to have a sponsor of the podcast of whatever it is that I actually put in this drink. But what's in here is not sponsored. It's just soda water. So, Jameco, I see you're posting some things, but maybe you can expand on that a little bit more so that I understand. And we got the next question. Okay. So Jacob had written, I have a 1-year-old and mostly I feel like everything that made me myself has just been consumed. I didn't mean to have a kid. I feel pain more often than anything else. How do I help myself? I'm miserable. Well, these are some serious questions. So I think this is very similar to one of the other questions I had just answered about, the season of darkness. That, having a child that you didn't plan, or maybe you're just not as excited about, let's call it that. It is reality. So, you can't go back, you can't change it, assuming you can't change the situation. You can think of it, there's many different people in this world, and one of the things that I have learned over time, and this is probably as I've gotten more mature and older, is that when I'm in a situation, complaining about it, and I understand the complaining, but complaining or thinking about it as a negative, it doesn't really help you in any way. There's nothing positive that's going to come out of that. So we look at it in a different way and say, well, okay, so I'm in this situation. How can I make this the best, situation for me? How can I make this into a positive? And I think in your situation, I don't think that you have to lose everything that you feel like you had or have. The younger you are, the more that you might feel that way. In other words, if there was somebody else who was a 15-year-old who, has a child on the way, you definitely lose more, or have the potential to lose more, I should say, the younger you are, because you don't have as much financial stability. You might be finishing school. Your job is greatly affected. You may not have a support network as much around you. So there's different things depending on your age. And I don't know what the age of Jacob was. But his question about how do I help myself? So I think it's a couple things. I think investing in therapy is a great idea. If that's not an option, I think you surround yourself with supportive family and friends, and make sure that you are doing things and activities that you really enjoy. The other thing, and this is a huge one, and anyone can argue this, but it's worked for me, is expressing gratitude. So that literally means taking out a notebook, and in the morning, and preferably at night before you go to bed and when you wake up, you write down 3 things that you are grateful for. And then you write why you are grateful. And they can be as simple as, I woke up this morning. I am grateful because I woke up. And I'm grateful for that because it allows me to live another day. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I'm breathing. I'm grateful that I have a friend to talk to. I'm grateful that I have family. Whatever it is. And you start looking at the positive things in your life versus the negative things. And for me, as a recovering complainer, I still have my moments, but looking at things in a very negative way, I make great effort to try to look at them in a positive way. Doesn't always happen. I admit it. I'm the first to admit it. But it's still an ongoing effort. And doing that gratitude writing and gratitude practice is really, really big and important. And it does help. So, come on. Let's ask some questions here. This is some good ones. We got some deep ones. I want to hear from you guys. Maybe you can answer this question. What is, and then write it in the chat. What is the thing about fatherhood that you love the most? What is the most enjoyable or most fulfilling or most, just the best thing about fatherhood? I can tell you one of mine as you guys write it in there. So this past weekend, I had some moments like this where my children, they had some friends with them, and I was simply observing and watching them doing some activities. And They were enjoying themselves, smiling. They were just having fun and playing, and watching them be happy and enjoying themselves was one of the most fulfilling things that I could say for the weekend. Granted, I had my own fun. We played games and we did all kinds of stuff. But when you're a parent and you're watching your child have a great time and really enjoy themselves and being able to enjoy things and enjoy life through their eyes, it's really, really a wonderful thing. Corey, when my son says dada and I love you, he's 2. Yeah, that is a great, and that doesn't change. I can tell you that doesn't get old. You know, when my son or daughter, my daughter's 12, my son's now 14, when they say something like that or they come up and give me a hug, it's still the same feeling that it was. It is pretty amazing how that feels. And, you know, the unconditional love that a family can bring like that is pretty wonderful. So, yeah, you consider yourself lucky, and maybe that's something that Jacob, the guy we had before, can think about. And the idea that, you know, there is somebody that 50% of their DNA is theirs, and they have the ability to help raise and grow and you know, have somebody who's they can have input in on their life. So yeah, no, that was good. So yeah, and if you're watching this on a replay at some other future time, then I would say still throw it in the chat, because we still enjoy seeing the comments. We can still reply to them. It's still part of this, and it's important. So yeah. So what else we got? Well, you know, hey, we could always cut this short too if we don't have any other questions. I'm still recovering from my vacation weekend, so what do you guys think? If you don't have questions, and Corey is asking what was the class I recommended? I think the one you were looking at was the work-life harmony. That's one of the courses that we offer. But, you know, when you have a 2-year-old, I think all of the courses apply. All 9. We have 9 courses right now. They will all apply to you. And then we have hundreds of videos in the back end. But all the courses will apply to, you know, having a 2, 3, 4-year-old is when those start to really kick in. It's, you know, from communication with your child to the discipline techniques, to your own, you know, state of mind. All of that stuff is all dealt with. And we talk about some of the mistakes we make, some of the myths that we carry about how we're supposed to be as fathers. There's you know, each course is very, very different. There's even a course for your relationship, and, you know, the idea of improving and having a solid relationship while you have young children. And that's not an easy task either. So, well, Corey, I don't think, if you're talking about being broke, it's definitely not from the courses. If you're talking about from the kids, from a course standpoint, you can become a member for as little as $3 a month. So cup of coffee, you know, we certainly appreciate. In fact, just recently we've had a couple very substantial, they almost feels like a little bit like a donations that have come in, which have been very, very helpful to us. Because, you know, we've got equipment, and, you know, doing this stuff takes a lot of time and effort. And, you know, when people become members, that helps support us so that we can do these other things. You know, we're, hey, what's up, Max? Good to see you. Hope all is well. And so all of those things, you can become a member by going to daduniversity.com/support, click on the membership, and it's great. And you have access to everything, and really helps us and supports the show. So supports the show, supports the channel, supports us doing videos, all of it. And so, yes, recently we have had a couple very large, people who have come in and really helped us. We are also looking at sponsors and people that want to support it from a product or service standpoint. And so we're entertaining those as well. So if you see me drinking something or holding something up in the future, know that we're going to try to support some sponsors who want to be a part of this and support the show and support the channel. So with that, I don't have anything else unless there's any other questions that come through. Want to say happy Tuesday to everybody. And if you're watching this on a replay, feel free to put your question in the chat and we'll try to use it on a future show. And because we always love, making sure that everyone's questions are answered. So appreciate you guys. And I will see you next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll do this every week. As long as people keep coming, we'll keep doing it. So we will see you next time. Adios.